And how much do you think the U.S. withdrawal, all the foreign intervention and withdrawal from Afghanistan will have an impact? Better or worse first?
Well, it depends on what happens from now until 2014. You know what, because we have obviously as a country asked for a responsible transition in Afghanistan, because whatever happens in Afghanistan has a lasting, long-term impression on Pakistan and effect on Pakistan. So, but as the transition takes place, we expect the responsibility on Pakistan on the other side of the border to only increase, because as the international forces withdraw and Afghan national security forces become more and more, able to manage the country and defend the country, I think we will be looking at, how the situation grows. But as I'm saying, what will be determining as to what sort of a situation exists at that time or circumstances exist at that time is how we manage or what we do from now, sitting in the early parts of 2013 till the middle of 2014. So the lasting guarantee, I think, for peace, stability and prosperity in Afghanistan can be through an intra-Afghan dialogue, a process of political reconciliation, so that the insurgent groups are part of the political process and they have no incentive to continue with any sort of insurgency, any bomb blast, any violent manifestation of their objectives. So it's extremely important as to what happens from now until 2014.
All right, turning to another subject, there was a large protest. This is the cleric Khadra. Obviously, you've had a lot of questions about this. He called it a million-person march. And he's asked, he says it might be a Pakistani Tahrir Square, that he points to the corruption, lack of enforcement in government. To what do you think his support is attributable? Do you think he is supported, as some people believe, by the military? He's certainly pro-Western. Where does his support come from? And then if you could tell me, is the government looking to meet any of the demands? You smiled. What's your view?
I mean, what is the reason behind smiling is, this is a person who until a few weeks back was enjoying a comfortable life in Canada, oblivious to the many demands or the weakening of the political and the other system on Pakistan that he now feels so heartedly and so passionately for. And then he arrives a few weeks back on the Pakistani scene. He's a person, by the way, you might be interested to know, who's not even eligible to contest elections in Pakistan according to your constitution right now, because in Pakistan you have to be only a Pakistani and not have a dual nationality currently. That might change in the future to be able to. So he is an entity who, according to the constitution, cannot have a political role within Pakistan because he is not considered to be a pure Pakistani national in that way. Now, so he comes in and creates demands which are in some ways against the constitutional fabric of Pakistan, okay, because he wants a role, for instance, for the judiciary and the military in the political disposition. That is preposterous. It can be called many words, which I would not like to use. And so, you see, you have to have a credibility, a legitimacy, and make legitimate demands. Now, we all know Pakistan has those challenges. I am aware, as much as he is, of the challenge that corruption presents. We are equally aware of the challenge that, institution or weaker institution presents. We are equally aware of many, many challenges. But what is the way to, can you circumvent those challenges?
No, your government must be worried about some kind of people expressing something through him, because the cell phones were cut off. Is that correct?
No, you see, we have to, it becomes a security situation and you have to deal with it in a reasonable manner. And that's why this is, because of course when you collect tens of thousands of people in a country where you have a tendency for bomb blasts to happen, it's not an easy situation to deal with. And you asked as to where his support is coming from. Now, he has been running a philanthropic sort of organization for many, many years. And that does create, the many tens of thousands of people who are associated with that, and those people who. So I don't think it's very difficult to collect tens of thousands of people anywhere in Pakistan by anyone. I mean, it's no rocket science. Why has he created so much news? I think simply for the reason because of his preposterous, demands, and just sort of landed out of nowhere and then making demands over the system as if he's been the, if there was a person who had contributed to the Pakistani political system, to Pakistan itself, who had invested in Pakistan, fine, but you can't just come out of nowhere and make demands of the system as if the system owes anything to you. The system certainly owes a lot to its 180 million people, but I think we have to be mindful of entities like this not to be allowed to hijack.
Do you believe any of when I look at something like this, I say, well, who's behind him? Someone is helping. There are a lot of rumors that the military in Pakistan is supportive. Do you believe that?
Well, the military has obviously denied it, so I don't think I have any reason to believe that. However, his entire wherever he's getting, so the military is obviously not an option because, as I said, they have themselves also denied it, and that also shows that nobody wants to associate themselves with this interesting person. And I know that a lot of foreign countries whose names were taken have also denied their support for him. But interestingly, the level of public campaign, media campaign, and it's extremely expensive one. So if anybody felt so strongly about helping 180 million people in Pakistan, they would not be using public funds which have been given for charitable work to promote their self-projection. So in any case, I think this is something which will pass. This was a good effort on the part of a certain person to create a lot of instability.
And do you just on the last point on him, do you think there's any legitimacy to any of the demands, or is he appealing to something that people want?
No, as I said, you see, those demands cannot be outside the parameters of constitution, for one. And then we all demand electoral reforms. That's why we have political parties, and that's why those political parties who are legitimate and credible went through an amendment to the constitution to have electoral reforms, whereby by now you have a chief election commissioner who has to be nominated by the opposition rather than the government. We've had extensive electoral reforms. So this is the person who is trying to desettle whatever the government with the opposition parties, the political system has been able to achieve. So this is a person who's actually coming in the way of the institution building and the all the gains that we've been able to make. So it's fascinating, and that's why it's creating so much news.